Okay. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hey, so this won't be a long live, but it's one that I wanted to do just to kind of get some things off my chest. I'll talk about a couple of things just that I see that I have been seeing for a while. Um, it just seems like there's a ton of, I don't know, just division going on in these different spaces, especially when it comes to the Black community in particular. So, thought I would talk about it. So, let me pull up a couple things here because I am going to refer to some articles, but a lot of it is just me visually seeing what is happening and what seems to have been happening over many years. So, I'll be interested to really hear what other people think as well. So I titled it "The Blame Game to Divide and Conquer." I used a thumbnail of a black woman, a black male, a black woman, and a black man. And it just seems like there is and has continued to be this division among not only within the two groups, not just, within the black population in general, between the men, within the men group, within the women's group, but also against genders. So this gender against that one. So women against men. And I just don't really know if we have the advantage of doing that for very long. Because the reason I named this video "The Blame Game" is because I feel like there's a lot of divide and conquer going on and has been going on for a very long time. So here's some of this landscape that I see right now happening. So we have black men, which are seeming to have a lot of hate towards their blackness. Kind of the thought of you're a man, but you're also black. That in terms seems to be getting translated to the black women who show, which we can kind of go through and walk through how that's happening in a lot of ways. And that's kind of where this whole division, I think, starts in a way. But then there's also the history of divide and conquer. So from even thinking about slavery times, how did we even get there? Well, in Africa, there was division. And so that was used against the people to actually, you know, raid and get, for the Europeans to get what they wanted. And it seems to be still happening there in Africa. There's a lot of division. Obviously, there's different countries, there have been different tribes, but at the end of the day, these are black people and there's a lot of division happening. Let me pull something up on my computer because I'm not even in my studio on my computer. So let me go in here. I'm using my phone, so I can't see anything. But I want to pull up a couple of different stories. One is from NPR. There's some other articles that I want to refer to because it does highlight this idea that, okay, there's a lot of hate that it seems to be that black men have for the blackness that is getting pushed over to black women, which black women are pushing this. It goes further to the kids, and then you have this kind of cycle. It seems like that's where it's starting, all the hate, like hate, vision. It's this kind of feeling of I hate being black that's been pushed around. So why do I say that I feel like black men are in a place where there is hate about being black? I'll pull up why. Because there have been some studies and conversations that have happened amongst black men, and there's a lot that black men have to deal with. Yes, I do say that black men are privileged because they are men. There is such a thing as male privilege. However, again, they're black. You're male, but you're Black, right? And so they're getting reminded of that every day in society. With that, they're taking that and pushing that to the women. That's what I see happening. That is my view. I'd be really interested to hear other thoughts, especially from a Black man. But what I have is actually a story that came from NPR. So I'm going to see if I can play it. I know that there's normally some mishaps when I play audio, especially video, but this isn't audio. And we'll see if this actually works. Restream last week was kind of messing up on me when I was trying to do the Crystalline versus Sinji exploring their content, which is why I pushed it to this week. Bad mistake. Maybe a bad mistake there, just because of the drama. But let's see if this works. And this is called Fear of Black Men, How Society Sees Black Men and How They, in turn, see themselves. So I'm going to play this. Let me see if this can work. And let me know if you hear. When I start playing it, let me know if you can hear. Hello, Time with Tiffy, and welcome. Thank you for being a member. And hello, Edward, my moderator and member. Hello. Hey, hey, Apostle Edward. How are you? How are you doing? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can play it. Fingers crossed if this works, but this is from NPR. Let me go share audio. There isn't a video, I will tell you that. There isn't a video, but let's see if the audio works because I thought this was interesting. And this is the title, Fear of Black Men, How Society Sees Black Men and How They See Themselves. Because again, I think that's where some of the issues start. So let's go ahead and play it. Please let me know in the chat if you can or cannot hear, just so I can confirm.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Ford. Tap the play button to meet vehicle engineering manager Rob Iorio, who led the development of the Mustang Mach-E, including creating 3 new drive modes tested across the country.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Speer. President Biden's...
Okay, this is not what I'm trying to listen to. Let me refresh the page and see if that works. Let's see. Okay, I'm pushing the wrong button. Why do they have 2 things here? Okay, so that's the hourly news, and this is the actual snippet. Okay, bear with me. All right, so now I'm going to play it. Hopefully there's no advertisement when it comes on.
This morning we'll explore a challenging question about race. It's whether an automatic fear of black men fuels racial tensions and racial disparities. Here's NPR's Michelle Martin.
On Monday, on All Things Considered, we talked with 2 researchers about how fear may affect how black men and even boys are treated by law enforcement and potential employers. This morning, we're taking a closer look at how these fears may affect the way black men feel about themselves and each other. I spoke with Doreen Richards, founder of the parenting blog DaddyDoingWork.com, and with Paul Butler, a professor at Georgetown University Law Center and a former federal prosecutor. And I started by asking Paul Butler about whether he had ever had the experience of being seen as frightening.
All the time. I mean,
even now?
Walking home in my beautiful upper middle class neighborhood in D.C. when the cops start following me, kind of like this cat and mouse thing. They're in their car. You know, every time I move, they move. And we get up to my house and I just stop in the street, say, "What are you guys doing?" And they say, "What are you doing?" I say, "I live here." They said, "Prove it." They made me go to my porch. And then when I got there, I said, "You know what? I don't have to prove nothing." I knew this because I'm a law professor. And they said, "We're not leaving until you go in the house because we think you're a burglar." I said, "You're doing this because I'm black." They said, "No, we're not. We're black too." And that was true. These were African-American officers. Even they were racially profiling me, another black man.
This is very interesting, and I'm going to raise another issue about that. But first, I want to hear.
I want to pause. Hopefully it does not replay this, but I want to pause because what we're hearing is this is a black man saying that he is getting racially profiled by black police officers, so other Black men. Now, hold on to my point earlier where I'm saying basically that there is this hatred. There's the idea that you're proud of being a man, however, hating the Blackness. Obviously, not saying every single Black man is this, but this is kind of generally what I'm seeing just based on trending things that I see within our community, the conversations that are happening over and over and over again, and these things that are continuing to be said from Black men about Black men, like just generally, and then the actions that we see, it doesn't seem like these are coming. You can't be pro-Black and say certain things, which we're going to get into later, and we can't continue to say them. Every generation is saying kind of the same thing, generally. So hold that thought and let's continue. Thank you, Thanks, Mr. Rice, for joining, and thank you, Edward, my moderator, for telling everyone to hit the like button. Yes, please do. Thank you. Okay, let's see if it continues.
I want to hear from Dwayne Richards. You're the father of 2 young daughters, and you were telling us that your daughters notice that people seem to be afraid of you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and my personal story is when I was out with my oldest daughter, who's 4, we were in a shopping mall in a garage in Los Angeles, and we're walking, and there was a lady who was with her husband, and I could tell that they just got really nervous around me. Then when we went to an ATM, I had to get some money, and there was another couple. I heard the woman say, "Hurry up, let's go. Like I was going to rob them. And my daughter was like, "What happened, Daddy? What's that all about?" And do I have to go into this conversation of, yeah, well, honey, sometimes people look at the color of my skin and they think that I'm a threat to them.
You know, to that end, we put out a call on social media asking people whether they either felt fear of Black men or whether they were Black men themselves who saw other people reacting to them. And we heard from a number of people. One of them was a man named William Underwood of Chicago, Illinois. He talked about how often he feels like he needs to prove that he's not dangerous. This is what he told us.
Every day I get tired of it. It's very difficult because you just are constantly thinking about what you have to do next, how you move and how you perceive yourself not to be dangerous. And when you're in public areas, particularly like transportation, I don't pull my phone out really quickly because people think it's a gun or something. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish people would see me as the person that I am. People don't see that. And that's heartbreaking sometimes.
I hear a lot of emotion there, Dwayne.
Wow. Yeah, and
So you guys heard that as well. So this idea that they can't even see them as the person that they are because they are Black, right? And what we're also hearing in this is this idea that there's this fear of Black men. You hear him saying, he doesn't even want to pull out his phone too quickly because he doesn't want people to think that he has a weapon on him. Think about having to deal with that every day. Now, I will say as a Black woman, that's something I don't think about. Clearly, I don't think I'm 5'5". So I don't think anyone is necessarily afraid of me as I'm walking down the street. Oftentimes I'm wearing dresses, like I'm a girly girl. So I don't have to think about that on a day-to-day of like, oh my gosh, let me make sure I'm not showing myself as aggressive, or let me make sure that I'm not pulling my phone out too quickly, because just in a public place, I will say I've never had to really think about that. I think the only times where I feel a little on edge is still as a Black woman with police officers. But at the same time, I would say I haven't had a bad experience with police officer. It's been more of the media, seeing different things happen to people. I have had one instance when I was a teenager with an officer that happened to be a white woman. And it was this instance where I had gotten my wisdom teeth taken out. And I have these, when you do that, you have these cotton balls in your mouth, like you're bleeding, like you're in pain a little bit. And you just want to get home. You want to rest. You want to get your medicine that they prescribe you and relax. And this woman was so aggressive, this white police officer. a woman, not a white man, which I think is often portrayed as, big bad police officer, right? That's a stereotype as well. Like the aggression is not always coming from the men. And that was the only bad experience I've ever had. It was that she was particularly holding up this whole scenario. I think so it was with my mother's friend who I was with, who was caring for me at the time, who would take me to my appointment. And I'm literally I'm bleeding out my mouth, and she stopped us for she was speeding. I think she went 2 over or something. And she's purposely, like, you can tell, like, she's coming off really mean and rude to us, and like for going 2 over the speed limit, like really. On the flip side, I've been in scenarios where like I know that I should have I was speeding 10 over, I'm sorry. And a white male police officer, black man police officer has been very kind and said, it's fine, don't worry. Don't worry, it's cool. Just don't do this again, whatever. So anyway, side note for that, just because I do realize that that's something I don't actually have to worry about. And I'm going to continue here. I saw some folks come in and welcome a better tomorrow. Time what Tiffy said, it's sad to be treated that way to this day, especially in front of his kids. Exactly. So with this, you guys know I try to look at different ends of this whole situation that we're in, women and men in our community. Apostle says, in a prominent white neighborhood where crime is committed, a certain kind of white man would be profiled accordingly. Okay. Apostle is saying, let's leave in a comment that other men would be profiled. Edward says ridiculous, right? Profiling should generally be based on who's most likely to be a criminal. Right. Well, they see, really what we're seeing commonplace is that just the black skin is seen as criminal. And they're going to say something later in the snippet that I think is really interesting. Hi, Tasha Society. Welcome. How are you, dear? Time with Tiffy says it shouldn't be about color, right? But it's the color. All right, I'm going to pause there and I'm going to take some other comments. I just want to make sure we kind of play. I want to remember this crucial part. So let's continue.
I completely hear what he says. And every day for me as well, sometimes if I'm walking down a street or something, I'm whistling Frozen songs just to prove that, like, hey, I have kids. I'm not a threat to you. I just want to go home to my family. So often people just view this as like, oh gosh, or just whining, or they're just making excuses, or pulling out some mythical race card that doesn't exist. This is a real thing. So.
Well, but to that end, though, Paul, let me play another clip from a man named Leo Cunningham. He's an ordained minister in Columbus, Ohio. We actually heard from him in an earlier conversation on All Things Considered. But let's just hear something that he had to say about this.
I have been in situations where I'll maybe assess another black man. It's a question of his age, how is he dressed, the environment that we're in. And sometimes it's as simple as the proverbial head nod to make sure that we see each other, we respect each other, and neither one of us is not only a threat to each other, but we agree we're on kind of the same common journey as black men in America.
Well, I don't know. What about that, Paul? Some people would hear that.
You know what's interesting? I actually did this the other day. I feel like I have to acknowledge a black person when I am crossing paths with them generally. I don't always, but especially if I'm feeling like unsafe. I know it sounds weird, but I don't generally feel safe if I'm crossing the path of any man. Generally, like any man, I don't feel so safe unless there are plenty of other people around. If there's not a lot of people around, I am like looking for okay, which might be a little strange, but I look for okay, if this man approaches me this way, I can run over here. And it doesn't matter so much the color, but I will say I do my own type of profiling, in when it is a black man, I am careful. So, and there's a certain look, obviously, if they're looking like they're, dressed a certain way and all of that. So even in my mental, and it could be because of, what we see in the media, my past experience, what I see generally, what has been done to me, where a man has called me a name, and just general profiling. All of that bias does happen. So when I hear people say like, oh, racism isn't, I don't see color, like you have to see color because you see everything. You see everything over the course of time, and that stays in your mental. So if there was someone always attacking you in a red shirt every week or every couple of months, someone in a red t-shirt attacked you, you would feel some type of way with that red t-shirt. If you saw on the news someone wearing a red t-shirt committing a crime, and that was what you saw, not green t-shirts, black t-shirts, white t-shirt, it was always a red t-shirt, that would go into your mentee. Like that would be there. So the bias, this bias against Black being criminal is kind of what we're hearing here. So, and I do feel like everyone has the bias, Black people, white people, every type of person, because we're all seeing the same type of media. We're coming across different, paths within different communities. Like it's going to be there. There's going to be some type of bias, whether it's within, people of your same group or outside of your group, right? Or or even if it's a different gender. Myself as a woman, there's a reason why I'm extremely careful when I'm crossing paths with a man, because of crime that I've seen against women, because of past experiences I've had with a man saying, hey, can I get your number? And then you say no, and then you're all kinds of this, that, and whatever's. Or aggressiveness targeted towards you. So all of this does occur. Okay. Kind of going on a side note there, but let's continue because there's still a piece that I want you guys to
hear that and say, okay, you've internalized this, but then other people would say that's just common sense. I mean, I think a lot of people might remember Reverend Jesse Jackson, where he talked about how it hurts him to, if it's a young Black kid walking behind him, and to be leery about that. But what about it?
So statistically, the young Black man walking behind Reverend Jackson has worked a long day at a low-wage job and just can't wait to get home to his girl or to his children. And this is exactly why it's tiring, because when you're in an elevator or walking behind somebody and you feel like you have to perform to make them feel safe, it's like apologizing for your existence. So I'm in an elevator with a white woman and I look down to make her feel comfortable. It's like, excuse poor Black me. And you get angry and you get tired.
Okay, so I want to pause there. Apologizing for your existence is what this man is saying. So he uses this example where he's in an elevator with a white woman. He's looking down and it's kind of like apologizing, sorry for, little Black me or whatever. And you get angry. Here's the thing I want to discuss and I want to bring up, and I want to really ask people. As a Black man, you're walking through society with these pressures, right? With these almost attacks, these microaggressions towards you before you've done anything. Like, we're not talking about whether a man is good and has good intentions or bad intentions. Every community has people that are doing that are committing crimes. Every community has people that are doing things the right way, just trying to do things right for their family. None of that is in consideration. You are just stepping into an elevator, you are getting onto a train to get to work or whatever you're doing. You're walking down the street, right? Alone with your children, whatever. So this anger, so he's saying apologizing for your existence and you get angry, you get tired. My question is, where does that anger go? Where does this anger go? Because what I'm seeing is, and I could be wrong, certain men attacking their Blackness in terms of pushing their hate and anger towards Black women that look like them because of this fact that they don't like their Blackness, because they're a man, right? They should have the privilege of being a man in this society, but they're Black. Again, that's what I'm seeing when I really just, and I've been trying to think about why, and I'm going to get to the Black woman in a minute, but why is there so much division between not only the Black community, but as of late, you can't really go anywhere online without seeing a Black man saying something about a Black woman, a Black woman saying something about a Black man, and vice versa. I do think it kind of starts with the men. And this is why, because of everything that they are dealing with. And I feel like it's pushed to the women, this idea of hatred and it's anger and all of this. The Black women take on some of that. It gets pushed to our children, and the cycle continues. I don't know. That's my thinking. That's my question. I would love to get more perspective from the Black men. Apostle says in some Black neighborhoods, Black people are wary of other Black people based on threat level. That's true. And to take it back to my example, what I was going with earlier about the kind of signal where you kind of do the head nod to another Black person. I did that the other day with a Black man. I kind of nodded to him just because I wanted him to see me. I wanted to kind of check to see, like, okay, am I safe? Like, am I safe walking past you? Like, you good? Because I just, I don't know if I would do that with any other group necessarily. Obviously, I try to generally say hello to people that I walk past. Even, I would say for men, I kind of smile and just kind of make sure there's space between us as I'm walking, if I am doing that. But yeah, I have to be extremely careful just as a woman in general. I don't know if I feel the same way with other women, though. I don't mind it, but with men in particular. So I'm thinking about the Black men and how they would feel like, okay, you're literally going to be seen as a threat no matter what you do, just because you are a Black man. So there is the male, there's the male part. Like, of course, women are a little less comfortable around men. There's reasons behind that. But then really the highlight is the Blackness. That's what I'm hearing from these conversations. So Easy said, I was eating lunch today, looked across the room, and a white man was staring at me with an evil look. Oh, I'm sorry. I constantly get that look in white neighborhoods. He decided to eat in this car. I'm so sorry, Easy. Yeah, I mean, stuff is real. Hi, chillin' with Ray. So I want to move on to another article. So this was a story. I don't know if let me see if there's more. There's a little bit more, so we can listen to it. I think there's just a minute left of it. And that'll give me some time to pull up the other article I want to highlight and to kind of look through some of the comments here. Apostle is saying, so history and experience feeds the fears. Yes, definitely. Everyone has biases. That's what we're using to kind of go about our life every day and make decisions, right? Certain decisions. So if I saw, I don't know, if I had never seen a movie or video or anything about a lion and didn't know its aggressiveness or didn't know its ability to attack someone, maybe I would go up to him and be like, oh, it's just a huge cat. Like, look at this. Like, no, I have that history for a reason, so I can protect myself. So bias is neither necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but for Black people, and I am specifically highlighting Black men, it doesn't work in their favor, right? Because the Blackness, just being Black and a man, you're automatically criminal, aggressive, like something. It's something is what we're hearing from these men, and they have to actively work to make sure in public they are not seen as aggressive. Very interesting. It's really sad to hear. Oh, okay, Tasha. Tasha's talking about talking with time with Tiffy. Okay. A Better Tomorrow is saying, I remember when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, had to catch a bus with swollen face and drool leaking out the side of my mouth while asking for a ticket. Thank you. I'm so glad you understand how I feel. So I'm literally in the car in this scenario, like I'm bleeding from my mouth. And this officer is literally completely uncaring. This woman was completely uncaring about this whole situation. And I do question, well, if this was someone that looked like you, or maybe your sister or your child, would you have had more empathy for someone that literally was going two over in a community, like 5 minutes from our home, like stopping at a store by the home and then going straight to our, like, it's very strange. But that's the society that we live in. I think we profile all people, even unconsciously. Yes, we do. We do. And everyone, I'm kind of bearing openly about even thoughts that I have, because it's things that you have to kind of fight as well. You have to make an effort to work against some of the biases that you have in general when it comes to, obviously, people that you don't know. Like, you don't know someone, so you don't have anything else to rely on except for what do you know, or what do you think you know. The biases come into play. Time with Tiffy, Easy. Everyone's saying, Easy, sorry to hear that about the experience you had. Alrighty. Hey, King of Kill, welcome in. Time with Tiffy saying, LOL, Frozen song would help. Yes, this black man saying he has to sing Frozen songs to try to be less aggressive as he's out and about. That's 2021. 2021. At some point, police are taught and trained to profile likewise. Okay. In some cases, it's good to be a little paranoid. Yeah, it is. So as a woman, yes, I do admit, like, you do have to be pretty careful, right? Okay, let's kind of continue here, and then I'll continue looking at some of the comments as we go along and pull up this next article.
But as a prosecutor, you also kind of understand where some of these attitudes come from, because while most black men don't commit any crime, of men who commit crime, a disproportionate number are African American. And so, yeah, sometimes there's a tendency to say, well, gee, if you other brothers weren't doing this, then I wouldn't have to, be in this position.
Finally, I am interested in...
Can we pause that right there? Maybe if you other brothers weren't doing this. It's sad that someone even has to have that thought, right? If you weren't doing this, maybe I wouldn't have these issues. But then who actually, here's the thing, who holds those men accountable? Because you're always going to have crime. Like, in any society, there's going to be, we're in a world where there is no such thing as everyone is wealthy and doing well. Everyone is mentally sound. Everyone is just, you're going to have poor among you. You're going to have mentally ill. You're going to have this and that and whatever. So yes, you're never going to be in a society where no one's doing anything wrong, right? Wrong. We'll have a discussion on what's wrong and what's right in the future.
Why you think people should care about this who aren't black men? Paul?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because we're American. Maybe because we're part of the society. And so for moral reasons, I think people should care. And also because we're here. We're not going anywhere. And can I just add that, one problem with conversations like this is it doesn't get across that I love being a black man. I mean, I just feel connected. Like, when I see President Obama's swag, I get that as a black man. When I hear Jay-Z's cool, I get a LeBron James. All that I kind of absorb and relate to as well. Sometimes we don't talk about the joy of this identity and how proud I am to be African American and a man.
Paul Butler is a professor at Georgetown University Law Center. Doreen Richards blogs at daddydoingwork.com.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up this other article that I wanted to share with you. And I see the comments about, as long as we're in the United States, we'll have these issues, but I think the damage has already been done. We talked about the idea of colorism and how, from what I see, colorism really exists everywhere. Everyone has colorism in them because of what has been broadly deemed as the right type of person, which is the European. The conquerors are the ones that get to say what's right and who has conquered the world, the Europeans. So you see in different societies, if you go to Asia, if you go to India, well, I should say India is in Asia, but if you go to China, Japan, Singapore, India, if you go to Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria, if you go to Venezuela, Colombia, you go to Mexico, you're going to see a lot of the same things. Who's actually pushed on the television? The lightest of the bunch. What type of products are you going to see as beauty, as, you know, what type of ads are you going to see as, hey, you can get this nice job and be beautiful, fair and lovely, right? It's already, the damage has already been done. So what happens if all of the Black people in the US, in Canada, England, what happens if we just all go back to different African countries? Well, we already have that mentality ingrained, and there's already a mentality there in African countries, in the islands, that white is better, light is right. There's already that mentality there. So what happens to us when we go there? Are we going to change our mentality, or is it going to be much of the same? Are we going to then push that, hey, we're better because we're American? I don't know, but that's something interesting to call out. I've wondered about that too for a while, and I don't know if that really changes anything. I think you'll still have it. You'll still have the isms. Except the nations were all just one race. Here's the thing: we can all be one race, but we're still going to be different. Thank you, Apostle. There are issues within the race groups and there are issues interracially, so it's widespread. Thank you. Exactly. Better Tomorrow says, easy racism is everywhere in every country and culture. It's part of the evil side that exists in us all, right? We're always separating. It's this division, right? So I want to pull up this article. Let me make this look, see if I can make this look right. Didn't plan on being here. I think I have 15 minutes to get through. We may have to do a part 2. I feel like I'm always saying that to you guys. We're going to have to do a part 2 because we go in deep with some of this stuff. Okay. This is tough. This is from The Guardian. And there's a lot discussed here, but I want to highlight one thing specifically, which is something that I'm seeing in general. So there's the article's titled, I Hate Being a Black Man, right? So they're exploring. Okay, so there's a piece of this article where they're basically talking about Black women, Black men, and there's this kind of hate or loathing about being Black, the Blackness, or too dark, things of that nature. One part of the article says, Black women are not afraid to speak about their self-loathing, yet for some reason, Black men are silent about our own contempt for what we are. A lot of Black men don't want to acknowledge the feelings of disgust we have for ourselves. It is considered emasculating to even admit the existence of such thoughts. I think my own self-hatred, is what this man is saying, manifests from the exterior, from the outside world. It is born out of the despair and the unhappiness I see within a lot of young Black men. So, I told you to hold on to my point where I am talking about this hatred that Black men have, how it gets translated to Black women. I don't think in itself all Black men just want to hate Black women. I think the issue that a lot of men have is that they're going through day to day. And there's another article that I pulled up where they're talking about 6 out of 10 Black men said their problems is more that they feel like they have failed to do something. 50% reported unfair treatment, which I was surprised only 50%. And then they feel that the economy is against them. So a lot of things stack up against them. That is actually getting pushed to hate and anger towards Black women. Because again, I've been trying to think of like, why? Why are we constantly seeing things like this? And not to say these are the smartest of the bunch or the best people to look towards, but people like a Kodak Black who says he doesn't really date Black girls. Black men opening up and saying like, yeah, I only want to date white women because that's like pushing up my social status or whatever, and different things like that. Why do we still hear this? It's over the generations we've heard Black men pushing to get away from Black women. And I think it is not necessarily anything that Black women are doing. I think Black women are great. I am a Black woman, of course. I think it's the hate of being Black. Hate of being Black. Open to hearing your thoughts. I'm going to keep looking at some comments here. Oh, man. Oh, I think I passed up a comment. King of Kill says, when we don't feel safe around someone like us, it comes from experience. When they don't feel safe, it's mostly based on what they've been told or what they've seen in the media. Exactly. Now, I will say there have been instances where I've seen actually a situation in Atlanta where this couple, a white woman and a white man, they were held at gunpoint at some place in Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta. I don't know, but King of Kill looped me in on a little bit. But they were held at gunpoint. So you can only imagine now what they're going to think of every Black person, which I go back to this man's point earlier in the audio snippet where he's saying he sometimes thinks, well, if these people weren't doing that, if these Black men weren't doing that, maybe I wouldn't have to deal with this, right? That's the only example I can think of. But generally, we're not seeing incidents where Black people, and specifically I'm going to call out Black men, are attacking white communities. We're not seeing that. We do see Black community crime. We see those rates. But we don't really generally see a lot of reports of, all these Black men are attacking these white men. Like, we don't see that. Instead, we see the opposite. We see people, whether they have a badge or not, in instances where there's an attack or aggression or whatever against Black men is what we see. You can tell me, other thoughts, but that's what I see in the news generally. I try not to watch a ton of news, but because there's not much positive, especially now in the news, but that's what I see whenever I am watching the news. Easy says it's all evil, hatred, racism, murder in different categories. This has always existed. Even in the Bible, God said he hated to create man. Easy's always bringing us to the church. Hey, Natural Larisha, how are you? Thank you. King of Kill says they bring their anger home to their family. Exactly. And how does that translate? So you're going through life, you're facing this, and what he said, apologizing for your existence, it leaves you angry and tired. So you're coming into your home, assuming, you're with a Black woman, you have Black children, and you're bringing that to your home. Where does that go? Because all of this is energy. When you have happiness, you have anger, you have these different emotions, all of that is energy. The energy does not just go away. It goes somewhere. So where would you think that energy goes? It's going somewhere. Who's in the home? And that's what I think is happening. That anger, because of your Blackness, gets displaced over to your women, your children. And then the cycle continues and continues and continues on from there. And how do we stop it? And here we are with the fighting back and forth because of it. Hey, Q and Nini Blogs, how are you guys? Um, oh, wait a minute. It's always me, Nini, not Q. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what happened? Okay, gotcha. So Apostle says, oh, okay. You guys are funny. Oh, thank you, Chilling with Ray. Thank you for the super chat. You're about to drive. Everyone be blessed. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I always appreciate the support with the super chats. Thank you so much. Okay, I think I've gotten through most of the comments. I'm trying. But yes, thank you so much. Chilling with Ray. So easy is saying when fathers are absent in the home, boys grow up with a father figure to teach boys how to treat women in marriage role model. My ex-wife constantly lying to my son to hate me for no reason. So the thought about like the man in the household. So what I am talking about is more of, okay, whether it's a man in the household, wherever this man is going, this hate, this idea that you're disgusted because of you have to go through these things because of your blackness. Where does that go? Because again, I have been like thinking about, why do we have so many Black men coming out on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all of this, saying all of this about Black women, when you look at our Black communities, Black women are really trying. And that's why a lot of Black women got the whole title of you're a strong Black woman, you're an independent Black woman, you're holding your men down, you're holding this down, you're doing this. Black women do a lot, and I'm going to be talking about that. I'm actually going to be playing off of Ain't I a Woman? There's a lot that Black women have been doing in the community to try to help. Not saying that everything has been right, but it's what we've been trying to do. I say we because I am included in the group, but can't really say I've held anyone down. I'm not going to say that for myself personally. However, I am going to be talking about, what some of the struggles that Sojourner Truth talked about and why we're still seeing that today. That'll be coming up in another video. Hey, Mylene, how are you? How are you, my dear? Nice to see you here. Appreciate you hanging out. All right, so I'm 5 minutes into ending the live. Easy is saying it's sad. It's sad when one parent prevents a child from seeing the other, parent to parent. So Easy, he's been talking about that. If you want to let it all out in the chat, Easy, that's cool. All right. So the other points I had. So Kodak Black saying no Black girls. Lil Wayne saying only red blondes. Only. Now, I am using rappers because, they're the ones that are typically highlighted in our community. They're the ones that get to speak out the most, it seems like. The Black on Black crime rate, the homicide, high homicide between a Black woman. 9 out of 10 are murdered by men, typically someone that they know, most likely to be killed by a spouse, intimate partner, or family member. Where does this anger go? It goes to the women, is what I'm seeing in the stats. So the only way to correct what's happening to the women is to figure out how Black men can deal with these feelings. Now, again, I'm generalizing here. But the feelings of disgust, apologizing for your existence, things that we heard in that audio snippet, they have to be addressed, or I'm afraid we're going to continue through this cycle and we're going to continue seeing stats like 9 out of 10 Black women are killed by people that they know. These are the men that you would think are protecting the women. So these are things that I don't like to see, but I wanted to bring up the topic. Hopefully it is thought-provoking. Hopefully it also offers some insight into what Black men are dealing with in society, because there are some things that as a woman, I am not going to experience as I'm not a Black man. So other groups can get a little insight on what Black people are dealing with, what Black men are dealing with in general as well. So, what are your thoughts? I'm happy to take a look at any final last words on this conversation. I just thought I would bring it up because, again, it's something that I've been thinking about, not to say it's right, but it's where my mind goes when I keep seeing these different articles where there is a commonality, this hatred of being Black. Now, I think Black women get the same. Like in this article, they were also talking about the Dark Girls movie, and that was aired by Oprah as well. So we were talking about colorism and things of that nature as well. But in the article I was referring to, that was specifically from The Guardian, from a Black man's experience, who's writing the article. And it's just tough to read because you hear things like Black is beautiful and everything, and Black pride and everything. But then when you're listening to some men, they just don't, you just don't see it, or you see their actions and you're not seeing it. So something's missing. I do think all of that anger and hatred, it does get moved to the women in the community, and it has to be addressed because otherwise we're still going to be dealing with a lot of hurtful things happening to women in the community. So with that, I'm going to close things out. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments after the video. If you don't agree, I'm open to hearing your thoughts. If you agree, tell me why. And with that, I'm going to close things out. Thank you for being here. And thank you again to, who was it? Chillin' with Ray for the kind super chat for supporting the channel, even as you were driving. So I am going to close things out, lovely people, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.